Africa's most populous country, Nigeria, may be facing an uphill task in its quest to become a $1 trillion economy by the year 2030. This comes despite recording its strongest economic performance in 3 years, with GDP expanding by 3.84% in the fourth quarter of 2024, largely driven by the services sector. World Bank officials at the launch of its latest Nigeria Development Update cautioned that while recent reforms by President Bola Tinubu have sparked a modest recovery, Nigeria needs to accelerate its current growth rate fivefold to meet the 2030 ambitious target.
The exchange rate is market reflective and more stable. Foreign reserves have increased. The fiscal position is much improved on the back of a surge in Federation revenues. Now, needless to say, the war is not won. Many challenges remain. Inflation has remained high and sticky, and it will be crucial for the CBN to stay the course with tight monetary policy to anchor stability.
To consolidate on the current growth momentum, the World Bank is also advocating a sustained macroeconomic policy by the public sector and large-scale private sector investment to break away from the cycle of slow growth.
It's going to require continued coordination with fiscal policy. So it's going to be essential that fiscal policy remains disciplined enough, the fiscal deficit remains small enough, that monetary policy remaining tight can kind of do its work, and those pulling in the same direction can restore expectations.
With Nigeria's fast-growing population estimated at 3% annually, perhaps the real test for policymakers is how some of these reforms translate into actual growth. Some of the stakeholders on this panel section, including the Minister of Finance and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Minister of Communications, CBN Governor, and Plateau State Governor, took turns to address economic and policy matters.
It is investment that allows increases in productivity, that grows the economy, that creates jobs, high-quality jobs that lift Nigerians out of poverty in their millions, which is the aim of Mr. President. So we're trying to go from 7%, or trying to go to 7% growth.
Inflation is still a bit sticky. Or, well, maybe less sticky now than it was before, but it's still elevated. And of course, we believe that if we continue the course of orthodox monetary policy, which you speak about, and which has brought about results, if we're able to continue the course, which we will, then over time, the inflation should moderate.
And this is a sector that has been clamoring for increase in tariff for more than 10, 11 years. In fact, we've seen that in the last 3 years, the FDI to the sector has gone down significantly. So the companies have not been investing in digital infrastructure. And last year, because of the reform, we saw a significant growth. So if you look at the numbers, for instance, in Q1 2023, FDI to our sector was about $22 million in Q1 2023. In 2024, we had close to $200 million just in Q1 2024. And we saw that growth continued in Q2 into Q3 and Q4 as well.
One of the key components of macroeconomic policy that perhaps needed to be addressed in the MDU is the impact of insecurity on the macroeconomy, because it is one of the critical factors that is diverting funds that we would have put into critical investments and infrastructure. We're having to spend a lot to deal with the challenges of insecurity.
Citing weakening oil supply and global uncertainties in its recent report, the International Monetary Fund had downgraded Nigeria's 2025 economic growth forecast to 3% from an earlier projection of 3.4%. But the World Bank, on its part, is projecting a cautious picture of GDP growth expected to inch up from 3.4% in 2024 to 3.6% in 2025 and further to 3.8% by 2027. As Nigeria continues to navigate its economic transition, Today's update by the World Bank appears to have set a tone for more conversations on inclusive and growth-targeted policies. But stakeholders here say with policy alignment and genuine collaboration across all sectors of the economy, the momentum for change could become the catalyst for national prosperity. From the nation's capital, Abuja, Frank Omalape, Arise News.